Hi there guys, hope you're all doing well. And I've been meaning to try ChatGPT for WordPress from quite some time. I have been using ChatGPT in my daily day-to-day dev stuff. It's pretty good in terms of small things and where I can validate the code as well, because we have seen it hallucinate as well, that is in terms of creating code that doesn't exist, or telling a piece of code that works but isn't, or maybe deprecated. So I wanted to test it specifically for WordPress plugins and how good it has become in terms of creating a base version of your plugin idea, or you want to get started building a plugin. So in this video we will be looking into that, and I wanted to document the steps, because I am also doing this the first time and I haven't done this previously. See, I haven't made a plugin with ChatGPT, but I have worked on the plugins I have already been developing from quite some time. So maybe get some bits of piece of code where I am getting stuck at a part of where I want to update a piece of code that doesn't work or has an issue, but I haven't created a whole plugin with it. And I won't recommend it as well unless until you know the code that it generates. Definitely this is experimental. And with that being said, let's take a look at the scope of this video and what we'll cover in it. So I have prepared a note. These will be our goals in this video. So to be able to create a base, or as much as a base code to begin working on your plugin idea. So whether you're a pro or a beginner in WordPress development, it shouldn't matter. All right. Second thing will be to explore what's possible and how accurate and standardized the code it generates, and also generate the release files for plugin, such as the readme, etc., for releasing it on WordPress.org, etc. Maybe description and all that sort of stuff, where you'd have to generate your content as well. And let's also discuss what will not be the goals of this video. So that will be to create a plugin without any prior knowledge of WordPress, PHP and JavaScript, because these are the three languages that are mostly used in while creating a WordPress plugin. All right, and here are three tasks we are gonna do in this one. With that being said, let's take a look at our environment here and the code editor which we're gonna use. So I have this test environment setup and some debug plugins. I've also made a video on these and how they work. So maybe you want to check that out. I'll link that in the description. And I also have a demo plugin set up. It's basic bare bones plugin. Let me just show you in the code editor. And here it is. It is nothing. It just generates a menu page, which is this one. Wait, don't have it active, so it doesn't show it. All right, we can simply scrap this and it won't be anything. All right, so let's do that. We can either use this or completely start from ChatGPT, right? So let's do that. Let's visit our ChatGPT friend. And let's begin with it. So our first goal in this video will be to create a plugin called Compress Images, which creates an admin form to select an image, and then to select between low, mid and high quality, and then admin list page. Users will be able to see previously compressed images, right? So let's get to it. We'll be writing our prompt. Let's just begin with it. So we want to create a plugin called compress images. Let's separate that with a comma, and then we also want to do this. So let me just copy this quickly, which will be to create an admin form and to select an image and then choose between low, mid and high quality. So let's begin with this prompt first, and then we'll improve upon it in the second line. All right, so let's just do that. All right, so it generated a base code for us, and then it also has the steps to basically create the plugin. So I think that's beneficial for it, even for a non-developer, from a perspective of a non-developer as well. But let's take a look how this is telling us to do that. So see, it already expects us to do this, because I do have a basic info set in this context in my account that I'm a developer. So it by default says this: since you're a web developer with a focus on PHP and JavaScript, I'll provide you with a general structure using PHP for the backend. So I have this context set in my account. If you don't know how to set that, just go into your account and then custom instructions. I have this set up. See, as you can see, I have this custom instructions set. You can do so yourself as well. So once you have that set, you can simply write the prompts and it will have that context for you. So given that it is telling us to create a plugin directory, let's do that and then we'll see. Let's just go step by step and then we'll see how far we have come, right? So it is telling us to create a folder called compress images. So let's do that, compress images in the plugins directory, of course. And then our main plugin file. So far it's going great. Compress images.php. We have our base plugin file ready, and then the plugin header. So that looks good as well. It isn't the full plugin header as you'd expect from the standard WordPress.org developer handbook. You would have a bit more here, but then again, it's not mandatory. So I assume this just gives you the required code. All right, so we can just say here, replace a few things, right? Because you don't want to copy paste the whole thing, or you can if it is correct and know if it's correct, right? So I just like it to be like this a bit more with the stars and things. I'm just used to this way. Just guess, like, this looks a bit better to me for some reason. And I can also use my PHP CS, of course. All right, so without wasting time on that, let's move to our fourth step, which is to create the admin form, because that will be needed to select our images for our compress images plugin. So create a new directory inside compress under named admin. All right, it is asking us to create an admin directory in the plugin, right? Let's just create that admin, and then create a file named adminpage.php inside this folder. So let's create that adminpage.php. Let's do that, and then we have the code for it. So let's just do that, and then we'll just write that. Okay, so it doesn't want it to be a PHP, right? So we can just write this code like this, and let's activate this plugin actually and see where that is. I hope it doesn't. Of course, it won't wanna do anything. So let's activate it. All right, unexpected output. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, or it is doing something wrong. Okay, yeah, we needed the PHP. All right, command right. Now that shouldn't throw an error. All right, we have the headers and plugin headers working here. All right, so let's get back to our admin.php and our steps. We are at admin.php fourth step, and then at the fifth step, it is asking us to handle form submissions. In your main plugin file, you'll need to handle the form submission and implement the image compression logic using PHP. You can use various libraries. Okay, so it is telling us to do that, the compression logic, etc., which is definitely expected, because that is more like a very tough thing to achieve, and then not a tough thing. I'm just saying that we'll take some sort of logical flow that you would want to implement yourself, and you will need to implement yourself, because compression is a logic, and you can either implement it with a library or you can code it all yourself. And of course, that just goes beyond the scope of this video, so I'm just gonna skip that and assume you can handle that. So for instance, it is also telling us we can use this image JPEG function to save the compressed images in JPEG format with different quality levels. So okay, so let's take a look. I'll use this for different quality levels. Okay, add form handling logic. Include admin page. Okay, in your main plugin, you will need to handle the form submission, implement the image compression logic. All right, you can use various libraries. All right, for instance, you can use image JPEG function. Is this a function that I'm not aware of? Image JPEG function in PHP, right? Okay, yeah. So there's a function in PHP that's called image JPEG. So see, you will need to at least understand the code it generates, because you might not want to just copy paste it. As I said, I am not aware of this image JPEG function in PHP. So this generates a JPEG file from the given image. So that's one thing to know. And as we know, JPEGs tend to, we can generate a much smaller version in terms of scalar versions, right? Instead of vector versions such as PNGs, etc. All right. So, all right, include admin page. So it is also telling us to include admin page. We're gonna skip this 5th page because this is very vague and it doesn't tell us what to do exactly. So we'll handle this in the next prompt, and then we'll ask us to maybe tell us what it is doing in the 5th step and maybe be a bit more expressive. So yeah, let's include the admin page, which is compress. Okay, and back in the main plugin file, you need to include the admin page you created earlier. You can use the admin menu action hook. So it is telling us to use the admin menu hook to create the admin page. So let's do that. Let's just copy paste this whole thing. And in our main plugin file here, under the plugin header, let's just copy paste this. And this is still the standard code as far as I can tell, because it is using the admin menu as per the WordPress plugin handbook, and it is registering the menu page again in the right parameters. With the right parameters, the capability is set to manage options, which is expected. And the callback is images page. So we have compress images page function here, which then takes the admin page.php template we just created in admin folder. So that's all going good. And let's now look at the plugin. If we were to look, all right, so we have our admin page here. So if we were to go there, as you can see, it does have our input and buttons, which we have in this admin page.php. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so there's no next step. It just says it's done. Remember that this is the base. This is just a basic outline to get you started. You'll need to expand upon this and handle error checking, image compression libraries, security considerations, etc. So and other functionalities based on your requirements and expertise. So it is already expecting us to do everything else on our own. But as you know, as prompts go, you can be as expressive as you want and then ask it to do more than this. So we will look into a bit more further what we can do in a basic or in a bit more advanced prompt, but let's not try to create the whole plugin with it, and then we'll just see where we can call it where we can draw a line for it, and then we can do it on ourselves, and then we can move on to the next task. All right. So, all right, there's also one more line. So since you're a web developer, okay, just took the context and then told us to good luck with the plugin thing. All right, so we will now ask it to expand on this 5th step and then tell us what we can do there. So in the above context, can you please elaborate on what are you doing in the 5th step, and maybe be a bit more expressive, right? Okay, so it is telling us again in steps. Okay, so absolutely, let's dive deeper. Okay, it acknowledged that, and so it is about the form submission and the image compression logic. So form data retrieval is like this, and okay, when the user submits the data is sent to the server using PHP to retrieve this data. This data includes the uploaded image file and the selected compression quality. We'll use PHP's image manipulation function like GD library. Okay, so it is the compression logic. Of course, there's GD library available from PHP. I have used it in a previous project, but definitely try that out yourself to know how that works. There is all sort of documentation available for GD library. So yeah, there's PHP magic as well if you want to try that. And finally, setting the compress to the image JPEG function. Okay, so yeah, there it is. It is using the image JPEG function. And error handling and security. Again, it in terms of from a beginner's perspective, this is very vague, I would say, because you won't know what a GD library is if you haven't worked on PHP, right? On specifically in the image manipulation functionality. And most people in PHP don't work on the PHP image manipulation libraries or these other libraries, because these are very niche perspective. And I've seen more and more apps and products using other kinds of libraries, such as in JavaScript, etc. Right? So they don't use the PHP ones. I mean, PHP is quite popular, but then again, yeah. All right, and so saving and displaying compressed images. So what we have right now is very basic. It doesn't do anything if you were to press on the compressed images. So instead of getting these vague answers, let's just improve on our prompt and then ask it to okay, also, can you know what, let's just use the context. Can you please give a step-by-step way to implement the form submission from the above code? So if you want to know how to submit a submit a form and then handle the form submission, etc., I also have another video into that, so I'm not going to get into this one. I'm going to link that down in the video description, so if you want to check that out, do check out. It is via AJAX, etc. So yeah, let's just focus on the ChatGPT version of developing a plugin right now, right? So we have again the code for it. Certainly is a step-by-step guide to implementing the form submission image compression. Okay, so it did give us the whole picture. So let's do that. Let's actually handle this. Let's copy the code, and it is telling us in your compress main plugin file, add this following code. I'm just gonna paste it right here, and I will just expect it to work. I'm not gonna do anything right now, but definitely we'll look into it in a bit. All right. So it is now checking the server globals, if there's a compress request set, basically a variable in the request, and then it is checking the plugin dar path for compressed images upload directory. It is basically, it's not checking, it's saving that in the directory, and then with the name, with an unique ID, with compressed, and then the JPEG file name, and using the image JPEG, etc. All right, so without further ado, let's move on to the second step in this prompt. So in your compress.images.php main plugin file, add the following code to display the admin form. All right, call back to display the admin page content. We already have that now. So we have a compress images page, which was this, and we were earlier using this thing, right? So what does this have now? I think it's pretty much the same thing, but it is now telling us to basically use the function itself instead of the template. So I mean, let's try that. It doesn't change anything for us, so let's just do what it says for now, right? In the main plugin file again, add the following code to include the admin page, which we already have, so we're gonna ignore that step, right? So we have that set. All right, so create a directory of compressed images. Before you can store compressed, create a directory. So it is asking us to generate that directory ourselves. So definitely that's not a standard way you would want to have a plugin, because you can't go into every user's WordPress installation and create a directory for them. You'll have to have a code which will generate the directory for you in the site with the plugin installation, right? So for now, let's just do that, and then we'll also see how you can handle that. So okay, where it is asking us to do that, in the WP plugins, weirdly it is asking us to right? So it is asking us to generate that in the plugin on plugin root. Create static name compressed images. Weirdly, the name itself is the same as the plugin name, so that's gonna be a bit more recursive. Okay, so now when you navigate to compress menu in the WordPress, you will see the form you can upload and select. Form submission image will be compressed, and a link to download the compress will be provided. So let's I think what this is telling us that it will now work. So let's try that. I'm not expecting it to work right away, but I have this YouTube cover of the small down dev page. So let's try to use that. And then let's select the medium quality and compress image. All right, it is telling us there's been a critical error on the website. And I would assume it to, have the log. Let's take a look at our log. Okay, it's been so quite something. Let's just remove everything from. Okay, so let's just look at this one first. So it is telling us that we have an error on line 63. That is, for the image must be of type GD image boolean given. So there is an error coming, that is argument 1 must be of boolean given at line 63, 63, 63. Let's take a look at our line 63, where we have image. Let me check that again, what that was. Image S6, of course. Argument 1, image must be of type GD image. So it is expecting a GD image type value here, but it is not getting that. So let's take a look at our compressed images. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, so it did ask us to do what? It asked us to generate compressed images. So yeah, I generated the wrong folder here. Let me just delete that. It's image temp compressed images make dir if not is. Okay, so it is generating that directory. Like you see in the code here, if we don't generate the directory, I missed it in the first time that I accidentally wrote wrong folder name. So it was compressed images, but it did generate the folder automatically. Right, so compressed image file name. It is not uploading the file, of course. Image create from JPEG, load uploaded. It's create from JPEG. So does this mean that we can only upload a JPEG file? And so we can try that. So I have a very bad picture of myself. So let me just use that. Okay, yeah, so it did work. Now that you see, it only works though with JPEG images, strangely. So you'll need to modify it yourself for, multiple versions of images, right? So now we have a file with 21.25 KB file size. Let me actually take a look into the file I have and what's the size of it. Okay, so it's at 30 KB. Now it is automatically converted into a 21.25 KB file. So let's try to compress it a bit more. Let's now generate a high quality compression. Okay, it did so. So as you can see, it's 30 KB. Now let's take a look at a compressed image. And okay, so both are of the same compressed size. All right. Again, we'll need to handle the quality and the compression logic ourselves. So, but this is definitely quite something that it did for us. It now does everything basically, instead of you needing to do the logic writing, etc. Right now you can improve up on this and then make something more beautiful out of it. But what ChatGPT can do at this stage is crazy. I would imagine myself wasting a lot of time researching on the GD image library and then PHP image magic libraries, etc. and looking into how I can implement all that. But given it just gives us all that, we can definitely look into the code and understand, but only if you can understand, then only use it, because other than that, I can imagine all kinds of things going wrong if you were to produce a production plugin and you don't know what that code is. So definitely do look into the code, read the code. You know that it is secure and in many ways it is safe for the user. So definitely you will need to improve on that yourself. Let's look into our basically second requirement for this plugin, because we need an admin list page where we can see the compressed images again. So let's ask it to do that. So let's can you also generate an admin list page that allows users to see previously compressed images as per the above. Right, let's wait. Okay, so now it is asking us to create another menu page, I guess. No, it's not. Alright, we already have the hook, so we can just latch on to that. So there's a sub menu page it is asking us to create. So let's do that. Let's copy paste this sub menu function, because you don't need to recreate the whole function again. So let's do that. Make sure that the parent slug is same, because you'd want that menu slug is same as parent slug. That's only how you can add a submenu, right? So it will now expect the compressed images list page callback function. All right, so let's do that. I hope it already generated that for us in the okay. What? It generated a list which has 111 steps. So well, that's one thing. Anyways, that's I guess that's a mistake on the rendering logic, I guess. All right, let's move on. Add the following code. So we did that. Create a new file named compressed images list.php inside the admin directory. Right. Again, this is completely useless at this point, because we just switched to the function itself, right? But then again, if it says so, let's just create one file, and that will be what? Compressed images list.php. Let's copy this for the sake of laziness. And then we have that. Course, we'll wrap that with the code we have. All right. So, okay, compressed images. Again, it is aware that it generated the compressed images directory. So, wow, it is reading the file, the folder itself. So that's pretty good. And following goes to display the. Now when you navigate to the compressed menu item in the plugin panel, you will see the table displaying that. Right, how does this expect that again? Because it didn't ask us to create this callback function, and without that this submenu page won't work. The submenu page function, it isn't aware of this file. So let's head back to our compressed images. There's so much recursive file naming here. It's confusing me at this point. All right, compressed images list page callback function. We don't have that, as I can recall. So that's one thing it missed. Let's give that a break, and then let's do something ourselves as well. So what is this compressed images? Then we can just leverage the code from earlier. What was that? Yeah, just use this, and use instead of that, we can just say compressed images list.php file name, and we'll expect that the list page to work. Let's try our luck. Hope it works. Oh wow, it does work. It worked in a strange way, because it doesn't load the image itself. It has a download button, and if we were to inspect into the image, we will see that it can't load the image, because it is not a URL. Instead, it is the full absolute path of the system in my Mac. So yeah, that is one thing to improve upon. What we can do to improve that is basically total compressed images. Okay, so it is reading the path, image name, image path. Image path is absolute, but we don't want that. So let's do one thing. Let's add that ourselves. We have the .url at this point, and compressed image name in the ahref. So there's an ahref as well. you got to select hit download. It did download that, but then again, it won't work for the image, I suppose. So the source requires not the path but the URL actually. So we want here is the URL for it. So image name has the correct right. So let's try to use that here. Let's try to use the upload the done URL with following with the image name, right? Let's see if that works. Right. Okay, I'll need another concatenation. Not. All right, so that works. As you can see, we did a bit of code ourselves, but not much, but yeah, something. And we now have a fully working piece of MVP plugin at this point. And yeah, so there's CSS missing here, but then again, you get the gist. What you can do at this point with ChatGPT itself, you can definitely improve upon this and then make something way more advanced. But the base is pretty crazy. And I am only using the ChatGPT free version, the 3.5 at this point, and I don't have the subscription for the ChatGPT 4, which I plan to get in the coming days to test out the other parts of these tasks, because it's not in the scope of this video and it's already quite long. I'm gonna be uploading another video where I'll be testing out one of these tasks in the ChatGPT 4 version, and we'll definitely hope to improve upon the prompts, etc., and then give you guys some better idea what it can do as well, right? And again, you can generate all this code and then implement in the new plugin starter I have created. Let's take a look at that quickly. So I have a video on that as well. So if you were to take a look at my GitHub at smalltowndev, that you'll find the plugin itself. You can just download it and then implement the same code in that, and you'll have a much better UI, with the form itself, etc. And then of course, the implementation goes hand in hand, and then you'll have to use a bit more manual debugging to implement it in the React way of implementation, right? So you can also ask ChatGPT to do that for you, right? All right, so with that being said, we just saw what ChatGPT can do at this point for creating a plugin, a full-fledged plugin, I would say at this point. It has everything. It goes with the list, the download button, and the compressing, and the success alert as well, right? So hope this video gives you a bit more info on the state of ChatGPT for creating WordPress plugins. I will be creating more videos on topics like this and how you can improve on WordPress development with the help of AI. And yeah, feel free to comment anything you have in mind, and I'll see you in another video. Until then, have a great day. And if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. And if you want to support these videos, because I am doing all this on the side of my full-time gig, so I would definitely appreciate any kind of support. I also have Patreon links in the video description and in the comments if you want to support via any sort of methods. I am also developing Vajra out of my own time, so all that which will go with or without your support, but I will definitely expect a subscribe or a like. So with that being said, thank you again, and peace.